welcome to the court of the Edijester. I hope you are well. It's been going on now for a couple of days, but I don't know whether any of you have been following, but Tribunal Tweets has been reporting on the case of a rape crisis centre in Edinburgh. There are times when I think, how did we get here? And you just can't square the circle on how this has A, been allowed to happen, and B, continues to happen. I cannot imagine a more precarious position for a woman to be in than to have been assaulted, raped, and then having to deal with the aftermath of that, which must be the most horrifying of things to deal with. I've dealt with men who've been raped, but I've never dealt with women who've been raped. And you may remember Reynard, who was the rapist who raped 300 men across Manchester. I know a number of those men who were raped by this man. And they didn't know until the police turned up at the door with the footage he'd filmed that they were in fact a victim of rape. That's history. And yet here we are with Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre in an article in the Times from April the 4th. And this is very much about the court case that Tribunal Tweets, who do an extraordinary public service, if you're not familiar with them, have been reporting on. A rape crisis centre run by a trans woman has been illegitimately hiding the biological sex of its counsellors from victims of sexual assault, an employment tribunal has heard. I mean, that is simply wickedness on a grand scale. I can't believe this is happening. It's wickedness on a grand scale. And as a country, Scotland seems to be utterly morally bankrupt at this point. Morally bankrupt. Not all of you, obviously, but you get my drift. Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre, whose chief executive is Marudal Wadwa, a trans woman and activist, was said to have used disciplinary processes to enforce its extreme and uncompromising version of gender identity theory. That's what happens, right, when you get a LARPing bloke where he shouldn't be. The case of constructive dismissal centres on Ros Adams, a support worker at the charity, who is claiming she was wrongly accused of transphobia and endured a 9-month disciplinary process. Adams now works at Bearers Place, a centre funded by J.K. Rowling, offering sexual violence support services for women run by women. When she joined the Rape Crisis Centre, Adams, 52, had welcomed its trans-inclusive policies, believing everyone who has suffered sexual assault is entitled to support, according to Naomi Cunningham, her barrister. The dispute began when she consulted colleagues about a rape victim who had asked if her counsellor would be a man or a woman because she would feel uncomfortable talking to a man. It intensified when a non-binary member of the centre staff copied Wadwa into an email chain and an investigation was launched into Adams' contact. Now, welcome to trans-inclusive policy. We have to stop all this. We shouldn't be welcoming that at all. Sex matters, right? Sex. We wouldn't be here. This poor person this woman would not be being treated in such a way and would not find herself being reported by Tribunal Tweets online as the case unfolds. If we just ended this LARPing nonsense, repeal the damn GRA and get it out of the Equality Act. It has to go. Unconscionable. The Rape Crisis Centre's procedures were unacceptable, argued Naomi, who is also chairwoman of Sex Matters, an organisation campaigning for clarity about sex in language, policy and law. She said, if the centre is trying to justify using disciplinary processes to enforce its extreme and uncompromising version of gender identity theory, the tribunal has to ask, what is the aim? Is the aim legitimate, and are the means chosen proportionate? It is for the tribunal to decide on that objective basis whether the aim of keeping the sex of support workers working with victims of rape secret from those service users is legitimate. I say it is clearly not a legitimate aim. It's hard to imagine an aim that is more illegitimate. That's gobsmacking, isn't it? Gobsmacking. Could there be anything more in need of clear, functional support to a woman who has been raped? Or for that matter, a child perhaps who has been raped? In which case, those women and girls are then faced with somebody whose sex they do not know. How can that happen in a modern society? How can that happen in a right-thinking society? This bloke should resign. In his closing remarks to the tribunal, David Hay Casey, defending the Rape Crisis Centre, said there was no evidence of service users being disappointed by its service. Let me just read that again so you can get rid of it. He said, defending the Rape Crisis Centre, there was no evidence of service user being disappointed by its services. How many women went through that man's hands while he's dressed as a woman pretending he's something he's not? How many? Cunningham suggested he is mistaken. In her written evidence, Adams cited the case of a 60-year-old woman who was abused as a child and only just begun to talk about it. The woman approached the crisis centre about group work and asked, "Can you reassure me it's just a woman-only group?" The woman was repeatedly told that such meetings were trans-inclusive. Get these men gone. Get them gone. Cunningham said the tone of the conversation changed, and a few days later she got an email saying, "You are not suitable for our services." They excluded a woman from a rape crisis centre because of a man. Neither Wadwa nor Nico Kubuturiu, the centre's former chief operating officer, who led the internal disciplinary procedure, was called to give evidence by the centre's legal team. It's unbelievable. Now, the rest of the article there is available from the Sunday Times. I put it into the links into the Dubras. You will also find the links to tribunal tweets in the Dubras. I do urge you to go and look into this, because it's an absolute travesty. An absolute travesty from beginning to end. These men. Go and have a look. All right, I'll see you later.